Hello everyone, it's Tangi from Papercrafting Australia. Thanks for joining me again for another Crafternoon Box tutorial. This is our second one for the month of October. If you're not sure what the Crafternoon Box is, you can visit our website at papercraftingaustralia.com. There's heaps of information there for you about our Crafternoon Box subscriptions, but of course you're going to see one of the features of the Crafternoon Box today, and that's one of our 4 monthly tutorials to teach you how to use the products that have come in your kit. So thanks for joining me. I'm just going to make sure that we've got all of our streams working. We've got Facebook. Hi Tony. Tony's here on Facebook. Thanks for joining me. And Judy's here as well. And we've got our YouTube feed. Looks like it's running nicely, but might just have just one person in there today at the moment. But if you're watching later on, you can absolutely watch this back on the replays on our Facebook and YouTube channels. If you're here for the first time, pop in, subscribe to our page, like our Facebook page, make yourself a channel on YouTube, and you'll be able to join the chat comments with everybody live so that you can ask questions as we go along, and I'll refer back to those as we go. So just bear with me today. I do have a new camera set up for the overhead camera. It may or may not turn itself off after a given amount of time. I've tried to test it, but we'll see how it goes. You know, technology, hey? I've also been joining in on the from picture to page crafting. What have they got? It's a normally they have a live craft show in person down in Sandown at the moment, but of course due to the lockdown here in Melbourne, they're doing it all online at the moment. So I've been watching that this morning. Unfortunately, they had some tech glitches as well, so perhaps it's the day for it. But fingers crossed. Let's hope not. So if the overhead screen goes blank at any point in time, I'll jump in and see what we can do to fix that up. Hopefully, it is giving you a cleaner shot. So let's have a look what we've got. Hopefully that is coming up nice and nice and clean and clear for you. Maybe a little bit better than the old iPhone shot. So we'll see how it goes. I've got another camera that we can switch out and try at some point if this one decides to not work so well. So this is the card that we're going to be making today. So this is it's a window swing card. So if you saw the example on the screen earlier, you just pull this one to the side and the lovely windows pop open. So this is a card that you can make just as a standalone kind of swing like this, and you can then save yourself a big chunk of space over here to write a greeting, or you can write on the back. I have chosen to mount this one onto the front of an A6 size card. So I've also got this space inside like a normal card would to be able to write plenty on. So I can decorate the front and make it really fancy, and then we can flip in and write something on the middle. Of course, you can decorate the inside with patterned paper or whatever you might want to do as well. So we'll get started. Sorry, I've got my squeakiest chair in the world. I hope you can't hear that on camera. But we've got, hi Marie, Marie's here. 2 Maries are here, Carmel's here, Fiona's here. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. I hope your Saturday is going well so far. So today I'm going to use, for this project, I've got some Craft weave cardstock. I've got the biscuit colour. I've got an A6 size card, so one that's pre-scored for you. So I can just burnish that one up into a card. So I'm going to mount this one again onto the front of an A6 card today for you. I've got an envelope as well, matches that A6 card. So Craft weave cardstock, biscuit colour. I've got a collection of papers from Paper Rose Studios in Adelaide. This is the Boho Nursery set. Came in the kits this month, and so I've got some pieces that I've already cut apart and some scrappy little bits that I can use, as well as some full sheets. So they're 6 by 6, those ones. I've also got some of these little greetings and sequins and little bits and bobs that went into the Crafternoon box for the month of October. So we've got a little fox and a little deer, a little lion and an owl. So we've got those little bits and pieces as well. I've also got my trusty bone folder. I've got my cutting mat, I've got a ruler, I do have a pencil, it's over here in my little pencil jar, my little craft knife, some double-sided tape. I've also got some liquid glue, so the Turbo Precision glue from Couture Creations that you can buy on our webpage. I've also got my paper trimmer, and I think that's about all we're going to need. Oh, I've also got some of this, the Wink of Stella brush pen. So for anyone who hasn't seen these, it is one of my favourite things in the world to add glitter. So it is a glitter pen, and it goes on, you can't really catch it on here, but it's just a few little highlights and things like that. So just something to just give it a little bit of a pop. So let's get started. The dimensions for today's project are all in the descriptions, both on Facebook and on YouTube. If for whatever reason you can't figure out what we're doing today, you can always go back and refer to those dimensions and then watch and pause the replay to make your way through. So I'm just going to put my glue back over there. I'm going to sharpen my pencil because it's not very sharp today. And we'll get started. That's a bit better. Might have half a chance of ruling a line that is kind of thin. Okay. So the first part that we're going to cut is going to be, we're going to cut two of these pieces. So we're going to cut the front panel, and I'm also going to cut the back panel. They are exactly the same size. It's just that we're going to cut windows into the front of one and not into the other. So these panels we are going to cut 147 millimeters by 105. I feel like this is definitely big enough. So I'm going to start with my 105, just because this is almost 147. Oops, I'm going to go this way and cut the Craft part off there. Make sure I've got my sizes right. So this is to match the front of an A6 card. You can, of course, modify your sizes, which is what I've done with this actually. So this tutorial, I caught this one on a page by, I think it's Ankita's Craft Corner or Craft something. I do apologise for maybe not getting that one right. I've listed the YouTube in the description for you if you want to go and catch that one. She actually made quite a large version of this, and I thought, well, I just want to be able to fit this in, so I've modified the dimensions. But by all means, if you want to make a larger one, she's got a great tutorial on it. It also has an extra pocket behind here so that there's some extra, you know, put some photographs or, a written letter or something like that, concert tickets, whatever it might be. So have a look at her tutorial if you would like to make one that's bigger than this one. So I've got these two pieces of cardstock, so they're all good to go. I'm then going to cut down my front border piece. So this is the kind of belt buckle shaped or number 8, if you turn it that way. It's like a digital number 8. I'm going to cut that piece down. So out of patterned paper, this one now, if you've got a directional pattern, which I do on this page today, we're going to cut 143 centimetres in length. 143 millimetres, sorry. Duh. I've had lunch, there's no excuse, I'm not hungry. So 143, and you'll find that this fits just perfectly. You only shave off a little bit from the 6x6 inch pattern papers, and then 101 millimetres chop that way. And what you'll find when you put these up against each other, that you've got that nice little, just a couple of millimetre border around the outside. Okay. So we'll hold, no, I tell a lie, I've got to cut 2 more pieces of cardstock yet. So these ones are going to be 6.5 by 10 centimetres. Just make sure I've got, I haven't got 10 that way. Let's have a look. Got 10 there. I definitely do not have enough cardstock there. Just give me 2 seconds. I do have another piece in my cupboard. Here's this bit. It's had a W cut out of it. It's still good. Let's chop that off, and I'll definitely, if I go this way, I know I'll definitely get 10 centimetres out of this one. Bye-bye W. Okay, so 10 by 6.5 we want. I'm going to cut this one off, that's got a bit of a rough edge on the end. And you're going to cut 2 of these. These are going to be your little window flip panels. 10 by 6.5. Beautiful. Okay, and for the moment, until we start decorating, I'll just pop my my trimmer out of the way. Sing out if you've got any questions, guys. I'll try and catch them as we're going through. Just need to have my YouTube channel that way so that I can see what's happening in the chat there. I've made a screen a bit bigger today. Too much mucking around with cameras. Excellent. All right, so that's a scrap piece. So one of these panels we're going to keep for the back. These two panels we're going to chop into shortly, but let's start by cutting our window panels here. So I'm going to bring across my little craft mat, one that you can cut on. I'm going to flip over my cardstock base, and we are going to measure in 1.5 centimetres from all of the 4 edges, and then we're going to rule a little bit of a border around in there. Bear with me while this is one of the parts of making cards that is just a little bit tedious. So 1.5, you can make quite dark lines. You know, this is the back. We can always go back in and rub these off once we're done. And this will make that kind of Santa's belt buckle shape. While I was making this and I realised it was a number 8, I was like, oh, that would be good. You know, you could make a little 8-year-old's birthday card this way. But then I saw Santa's belt buckle in the shapes that I was cutting, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to try and work something Christmassy into Santa's belt buckle. All right. We do have lots of Christmas cards coming up next month in the Crafternoon Box. Now, we do have some November kits which are due to come out at the end of this month. Got a couple of those left over because I did go a little bit crazy on ordering stock. So if you would like to order one of those without being a subscriber, so just an individual one-off box, they are available on our website at papercraftingaustralia.com now. And it will be as many as we have left, and then they're gone for good. So if you don't want to miss out on making 12 Christmas cards with us in November, jump on and get yourself one of those. So we're now going to measure 6.5 centimetres in from the edge, the short edge of our papers. So that's 6.5 here. Draw a line here. Oops. I can get things to be lined up and straight, and then flip that around and do another 6.5 in from the other side. Okay, and that'll give you your center pillar that's going to keep staying here. So we're going to cut out this section here and this section here once we get on to cutting with the knife. I'm just going to pop that one aside, and I'm going to measure up our patterned paper so that we can do all of this at the same time. I'm so devastated that I have to draw on and not use this back piece of paper. It breaks my heart. So again, we're going to do a perimeter all the way around. So this time we're going to do 1.1 centimetres or 11 millimetres, whichever way you would prefer it to be. It's a little bit narrower, just so that we've got, as you can see on here, just a couple of millimetres either side, just for being able to see the cardstock behind. You don't have to put a front piece on like this. I just like to. I just think it looks a little bit more finished. A little bit more finished. Okay, so 1.1 centimetres all the way around. While I've got your captivated attention, guys, we've got our Christmas Gala patterned paper. Just draw that a bit darker because it's on a line there. So that's available in our store at the moment. So that's our 12 by 12 inch papers. So they are packed, ready, good to go. I've already shipped quite a few of them out for people who have ordered that already. So people will already be playing with these papers and creating lots of Christmas goodies for their friends and family, and we're going to be using those in November and also in the December kits as well. So keep your eyes peeled for those. We've got a launch video that you can go back and watch if you want to see them, and there's photos and images all over our shop as well. So for this one, the center column that we're going to measure, again, it's 6.5 by 6.5 centimeters, 6.5 centimeters in from the edge. I don't know how the math works out on that, it just does. Flip that around and we'll measure in from the other side. Always amazed by how math works for craft. I definitely told my maths teachers at high school that I was never ever going to need to use any of this stuff, and the number of times that I've needed to kind of figure out how many degrees on a circle I wanted to do certain things and how to make a triangle fit things and fold, and I'm just like, oh, I kind of shot myself in the foot there. All right, so again, we're going to cut out these two panels in the middle as our windows and go from there. So we'll get the craft knife working and we'll cut out those little sections. I think, as I've said to you guys before, I like to hold my ruler. I'm a right-hander. I hold my ruler on the left and I keep the section of paper or cardstock that we're going to discard on the right. Just means that if I slip off that ruler at all, I'm cutting into mostly paper that I'm going to get rid of anyway. So if I'm going to have a little slippy boo-boo, it won't matter. So I'm just going to gently cut these little windows in. I don't know whether you guys are cursing me for having 2 cards in a row where we've had to do some precision kind of cutting. I mean, I haven't made you do any fussy cutting, so you can't be too mad at me. There's definitely been some craft knife and matte action of late. For anyone who was asking I think it was last class, about some more of the non-stick mats, I have some of those on the way. They are in a truck on their way from the supplier. Who knows how long it's going to take for them to arrive, whether they're going to go via Australia Post's amazingly clogged up warehouse, or whether they're going to be able to come fairly direct to me. We'll see how that goes, but they shipped out last week, so they're on the way. So we'll be able to get those to you within. They'll be able to go out in your next box. So I'll let you know once they're available. I'll put a Facebook post up, and you can jump on, grab yourself one, and I'll pop it in the next subscription box for you. So if anyone isn't a subscriber already, that is one of the benefits, in addition to the tutorials that we do and the products that we send out. You do get to order other products from our store, and if you can wait until your next subscription box is due to be delivered, you basically get free shipping. So it's included in your next box. So all you need to do with that is be a subscriber and pop the code NEXTBOX, all one word, in the promo code field at the checkout, and we'll just hold on to that item and send it out to you with the next subscription boxes. So that's kind of a handy little thing. It means that you've got the opportunity once a month to order some products and not pay shipping. And let's be honest, we all probably order monthly from different places, craft products. All right, so I've cut this patterned paper out. I'm going to go on to the cardstock. Same process, same procedure. We're just cutting out those 2 middle windows. And going from there. It sounds very, I say sounds, but it's, I was going to say it sounds very quiet in the chat today, but it looks very quiet in the chat today. Not sure where my moderator is today. Mum's maybe having a nap. She's probably visiting with family, something that us Victorians are not able to do just yet. We're getting there. How are my New South Wales friends this week, now that you've got a little bit of, you can go out, a bit more freedom? I'm still a little bit scared, to be honest, but, you know, whatever gets you through. What I really need, and I've kind of taken the mickey out of people who have been saying this, but I haven't had a haircut for 2 years, so I really need to get to a hairdresser. It's not for a colour, it's not for vanity, it is just unruly and out of control. I just need a trim, but I'm also too scared to do it for myself. So that's probably the first thing that I'm going to need. I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to go window shopping. I don't need retail therapy. I've got enough online retail therapy. I just need a simple haircut. That's all I need. All I need. But we'll get there. Our day will come. Our day will come. I mean, I hate to think of a scenario where we do need to be completely locked up forever. I don't know. I don't want to say never, but I don't think there's any scenarios where that would need to be the case. But look, I think there were people that said we wouldn't need to be locked up for a virus. So, you know, we've proved them wrong already. Just trimming into these little corners just so I can pull those little windows out. Where's that last little teeny tiny bit that needs cutting, breaking? Okay, so now I've got my front and its a little window, and hurrah, the measurements actually work. That's always a scary moment for me when I do that. I am just going to take an eraser. No, I'm not, because I can't find it. Where's it gone? It's always sitting right on my desk, and I don't know where it's gone. Oh well, I'm not rubbing them out today. All right, so I will take some double-sided tape. I'm just going to pop a little bit on the back of this so I can adhere that there. Tony says, coming out of lockdown doesn't feel much different really. Ah, right. Yeah, I think the couple of times that we've come out of lockdown now, it's, I don't know, it's kind of been a little bit like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's not that I've missed it, it's not that I've forgotten how to do things, although my morning routine will definitely change when we have to go to a physical place of work. Because at the moment I luckily get to work from home, which is nice. But, yeah, Melbourne traffic is terrible at the best of times. It was really good during lockdowns. So I can only imagine that's just going to go back to being awful as normal. But that's life. Traffic is life. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just peeling off these backing papers. I do have a directional paper, so I just want to make sure, not that it matters at the moment if it's up the right way, because I can always flip a whole panel around. But you're going to need to keep an eye on your direction of your paper. Okay, so that is part one, that's the front. We've also got the bit for the back, so that we can, you know, pop that, adhere this. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to adhere this one just to the front of my card base. It's nothing too crazy. Traffic's a major change because there's so much on the road now. Yeah, Tony, I can imagine. It's one of the good things of lockdown. I know while we had the 2-week construction ban here in Melbourne, because we live in a new housing estate, so there's still a lot of, I mean, they're still building roads or paving roads and, you know, clearing blocks and putting in pipes and drainage and stuff around us, as well as building houses that, you know, in different stages that sort of came online after ours. So it went really quiet in the neighbourhood for 2 weeks. It was beautiful. But we've definitely noticed the noise has come back. It won't be forever though, because they will eventually stop building things and move on somewhere else. And our neighbourhood's going to be so peaceful when that happens. So peaceful. We've even, on our morning walk, there's even been some ducks that while the construction blitz was on, some ducks came and made their home nearby. So they're got little friends in the neighbourhood to say hello to in the morning when we go for a walk. Say hey, duckies. Beautiful. So I've just made my card front. Just a normal card. Just put some cardstock on it. You don't have to, but the reason that I have is when you swing your card open, you can actually see down in here. So you could put a patterned paper on there. You can leave it as just one colour that matches, you know, other parts of your project. For this one, I had a biscuit coloured front, and then I had the apricot windows and backings. Today I'm doing it all in the one colour palette, just to see how that differs. Yeah, it's up to you how you decorate it. That's those pieces. All right, let's get started on the magic windows. So again, we want to flip these over. We've got 2 of those cut down, so that's your 6.5 by 10 centimetres. Now we're going to measure in 1.2 centimetres from, if it's this way, I'm going to call this the top and the bottom. So just on the short edges, 1.2. Thereabouts. All right, and again, I'm just going to draw a line across those. And I'm going to need to, oops, I've got my ruler stuck. Do this one as well while I'm at it. I have started making earlier today the dessert for tomorrow night's family dinner. It was going to be tonight, but we've moved it to tomorrow night. Just me and Ben, my partner, and his mum, who lives in the other half of our house. So she's got a fully self-contained unit in the other half of our house. So we all have, the 3 of us have a get together on the weekend, and one house cooks the main and one cooks dessert. So we're on dessert this week, and I've started making a raspberry trifle, and oh my gosh, I almost wanted to eat it all this morning. It was pretty hard not to be honest. Okay, so with our window panels, on the right hand side, we're going to measure in 1.5 centimetres. I love raspberries and I love dessert, basically. Hello, diabetes. I am type 1 diabetic, type 2 diabetic, so it's a love-hate relationship. I love sweet things, but I'm not allowed to have them. I'm not allowed, you know, in moderation. Yeah. I'm a big sweet tooth. But I swing very, very heavily from sweet to savoury. So I'll have dessert, and then an hour later I'll be like, I feel like some barbecue shapes. I just love food. Okay, so on these panels we are just going to cut out this little section. So it's the centre section on the right-hand side in that column. Just going to cut those out. I'm going to measure. I'm going to cut this part with my ruler, just this long skinny part. If you wanted to cut this piece with scissors, you certainly could. You just got to be straight about it. And then I'll just snip in on the other side with scissors in just a moment. Yeah, so raspberry trifle, so raspberry jelly, jam roll, custard, frozen raspberries because there's no fresh raspberries in season at the moment. whipped cream with some frozen raspberries mixed through it on top. Oh, Chambord raspberry liqueur and pistachios on top, crushed pistachios. So I'm just talking about it makes me hungry. So before we cut these other pieces, we're just going to measure in these little top left and bottom left rectangles. We're just going to measure the midway point, so that's 2.5 centimetres, so the midpoint of this block above. And I'm just going to just draw that on properly. So you've got just these two little lines here, this one here, and this one down the bottom. And I'll do the same with the other one. 2.5 there. 2.5 there. Just draw those in. And then we're going to get our scoring tools out, or bone folder. It doesn't need to be anything completely crazy. I'm just going to take, before I do that, my scissors, which I have not got out. So I'm just going to cut just along this little line here and this little line here, just to take that little rectangle out of that right hand side. And then I'm going to cut this line here up until this little point here, so to that 2.5 centimetre mark, and I'm going to do the same on the top one. Now you're going to want to cut to that line, and then you're going to want to go in and take like 0.5 millimetre more, cut a little notch out of your cardstock. Doesn't have to be huge, just a little hairline kind of notch. It can be 1 millimetre or so if you wanted it to be, if your accuracy, just want to go as close as you can. Cut the same bits off the other side and the same little notches. Trim that down. There we go. Okay, now we just need to get our ruler and our bone folder or a score tool, whatever you use. We're just going to score these two lines here to make those little tabs movable. Just need to. This is why one of these self-sealing mats is actually okay to do scoring on, because it is actually soft enough to take a bit of push and shove from the bone folder, but that should make those tabs easy enough to fold over and score, burnish rather. So just bend them over in one direction, burnish them, fold them back in the opposite direction and burnish them. And we're also going to score just these two little marks that we've put here. So from where the cut line is to the top and the bottom of the page, leave that middle panel alone. Don't score on it, don't cut it, or you'll really make a mess of things. But use your ruler to line everything up and give it a good score. I like to try and use the flatter side of my bone folder for little tiny bits like this, and then you just want to fold that one back and back in the opposite direction. Burnish both of those. And then just do exactly the same with your second window. Oops, fold that back out, so that's that little guy. Just check on my Facebook. All the things diabetics shouldn't have. Yes, Tony, that's me. Having all the family over tomorrow, making cherry swirl cheesecake slice. Oh my, that sounds great. Doesn't happen to have a cherry ripe in it, does it? A bit keen on the old cherry rights. I go through phases with them where I love them, eat them all the time, and then just disappear, go off them for ages. It's generally when I go into my crunchy phase. Very much have phases where certain sweets are my favourite and others I couldn't care for. That's life. Hold these ones back. A little burnish. And same for these. Okay. Now, if I've got any chance of finding my eraser, where would I have put it? I've got a few things on my desk that should not be here at the moment. My eraser is bright purple, so it's not the kind of, maybe it ended up in my drawer. Ah, here it is. You can't miss that, can you? It definitely wasn't on my desk, even with the things that shouldn't be there. I'm just going to rub off these lines just off the back, only because you will see some of them, even when you do go and cover up with pattern paper. Just as good as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just hold your little tabs and things like that so that you don't tear them off while you're erasing things. That'll do. Okay. I'm finished with cutting, so I'm going to get rid of that guy. Get my little bits off here. All right, so now it's time for the fun part, which is putting it together. No cherry ripes. Well, now I'm disappointed, Tony. I'm sure it's got other delicious goodies in it. Now, putting your card together. You're going to flip your card over, so your front panel over, and we're going to pop. Now you can do this either way, so it depends on which way you want your cards to swing. So for this one, with the front panel moving to the left, like this one that I made earlier, when you flip this over, you are going to want your window panels to be facing this way. Okay. If you want them to go in the opposite direction, so you want to be able to pull your front panel to the right, then you are going to want your panels to go this way. Okay, so your window sits on the side of whichever way, because this is also back to front, but it will sit when you flip this over and do this way. Whichever side your window panel is whichever side you're going to open to. So if we're going to keep opening this one to the left, that way, right this way. Now I did my first one to the left, so I'm going to do these ones to the right, just so that we can then play with two different options. And what you're going to do is just pop your windows in those little holes that we've made. And what you want to do is just make sure that there's a little tiny bit, you can see that there's a little tiny bit of jiggle wiggle room, and the same with the top bits. And if you don't have enough to be able to wiggle it just a little bit up and down, then you're going to want to make your little notches just a little bit bigger, so that this can actually swing through that opening. Okay, so you might have a little bit of mucking around. You can come back later on and trim once you've got the card together. It's just harder to get into. So it is better if you start doing it now. And this is one of the reasons that I have made my frame, my window panels, and my backing card all the same colour. Because if I've got a bit of a gap here, the colour that you're going to see behind it is going to still be the same colour. Let's see how you go. All right, so once you've got those sitting in place, what we're going to do, piece by piece, is we're going to make sure that that's sort of sitting in the right spot. I'm going to fold back. I'm just going to take this one out of the way so it's not confusing us. Whoops. All right, that's sitting in there. Fold back the two larger tabs, the longer ones at the top and bottom. Keep holding this in place. This is going to need a clean because I haven't touched this for a few days. Let's see. I don't think this is even, oh no, it is. It's okay. I thought it wasn't the full one. A little bit of glue on that tab and a little bit of glue on this tab down the bottom. And then while this window, make sure that swing part is in the right spot. And then we're just going to push these tabs back down onto the top and bottom of the border. Let's give it a second with a little bit of pressure on it. I think it's just started raining really heavy again. Yep. My garden's getting nice and watered, what garden I have. Okay, so then we'll grab the second one and do exactly the same process. At least in this house, when it starts raining outside, the internet doesn't drop out like it used to at our old house. All right, folding back those two longer tabs. We're not doing anything with the little tabs at the moment, just the big ones. Okay. And then just, whoops, without sliding it, hopefully, pop those down. A little bit of pressure. Now you've got, the reason I'm using liquid glue on this is I've got a few seconds if I wanted to just move those, just manipulate them a little bit just to make sure that they're clear of those windows, and away we go. All right, so then you've got your card ready to go, and if I actually grab one of those little tabs from the back and give it a bit of a push, you can see the window swing. How cool is that? Happy days. All right. So before we start to put this all together, we probably want to go through and decorate this while it's flat, and before we start having troubles with things, not doing what they're supposed to. So let's grab, what am I going to do with these ones? I think I might do a bit of a timber front. Here's where I'll just move that out of the way. Bring this back in. Now, if you, again, using directional paper, you're going to want to cut these to 4.5 wide by 7 high. So I'm just going to go 4.5. And the second one. I'm going to cut different colours for the inside, so I'm going to cut that out of my little green spots. Just trim off a 4.5 centimetre strip. Cut that down 7, and a second one to 7. You don't have to cut pattern paper. You might want your inside ones to be things that you've, things that you write on. So you might want some white panels or plain coloured panels to write on, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to cut, where's my original card gone? I was going to say I'm going to cut one longer strip panel, which is this panel to go in here. So that actually goes all the way across to where this brown border is here. And that one is going to be cut at 4.5 by 10. I'm just going to trim that all up so I can pretty much assemble most of this fairly quickly from here. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this one is when I finish, when this flips over, what I want this to do is look like this. So I want a timber panel, a spotty panel, and a timber panel. And on the front, I want it to be the opposite. So my front panels are going to be like this. Cool. This is just me going into OCD, over-organised, crazy. I'm just going to double-sided tape these on You don't need a lot of tape or glue. You don't want to put too much wet glue on, at least, because it is quite warp. Like it'll start to warp the card, and the structure of it will kind of come down a little bit. Whoops, crooked. There we go. I'll just put that. Oh, yeah, I've put that on the wrong side because my paper is like this pattern is up the wrong way. All right, let me just see if I can gently get this back up and put it on the other side. See, it's those directional papers, they'll get you every time. All good. Okay. That's another reason that double-sided tape is quite good. You can generally pull it back up just a little bit. And I think, oh golly, nearly put the tape on the wrong side. I've had lunch. I haven't got any excuses. Fresh cherry compote, Tony. Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Just gonna have a drink. Water. All right. Let's do this. Okay. A little second panel there. Now, when these flip around, obviously this is the one that I want to flip and become brown, and this one will flip and become green. So I'm just going to flip this over. If you had a directional pattern that really relied on everything being up the right way, then of course just move these around and turn your card that way. And you should have things going the right way. Okay, let's get these stuck down. It's a little bit hard once you've got everything in place to kind of lay the card open and keep. You have to flatten this out and decorate, and it just starts getting a little bit tricky. So it's nice to get it done while it's flat and one layer, and then we can tinker after that. We're going to start planning out our backyard to this afternoon, even though it's raining. Just going to do some measurements and start planning out. We've got a couple of screens to put in between our backyard and Sheridan's backyard. It's also going to hide our bins, our rubbish bins, because we're sharing one lot of bins for all of the household. And then we've got to put in some concrete for the bin corral. That's what we're calling it. And we've got to plan how much dirt and grass and things we're going to need to put in. So yeah, so that's how things are going to go. I've done this again. I've put it upside down. Okay. So from here we're going to put this together, and then we'll embellish after that. And I've totally stuffed this up. As far as because I was thinking about my panel going on this side at the end, but because I've done this to pull this way, the panel's going to be at the left side. So anyway, right, this one, you can already see now, this one's got a bit of a struggle with this little bit down here, so I do need to just do a little bit of tinkering. You can kind of see on the back how far in that needs to go. So it needs to be cut. And then just take a little slice out of there, and then it should, ow, you shouldn't stab yourself with the scissors. That's not the best idea. Trim, trim, trim. It is a very tight little little turning mechanism, that one. Probably need a little bit more. It'll kind of buckle where you need to cut, so it'll kind of make it easy for you to find the right piece to trim. There we go. Much smoother. Cool. Put it up the right way. Make sure my card is up the right way. And then I'm going to flip this down. I'm going to fold over these little tabs here. Give them a little bit of a, just to help them stay down. Because you're going to want to grab all 4 of these at the same time with a bit of glue. So if you don't have to hold, I mean, obviously it's really hard to hold 4 things down. Just 2 hands. Kind of created a glue bubble. A little bit of glue on all 4 of those tabs. If they get too kind of loose and floppy, just burnish them back down again. But then you're going to want to flip this over, line up your front with your back, and then just hold it down for a few seconds just to get that glue to bond. You don't want to start opening and closing that mechanism too quickly at risk of dislodging it, but also you want to make sure fairly quickly that you haven't got too much glue on there and that you have glued the rest of your card to a bit. So you can kind of give it a little bit of a test. That's okay, it's working. Everything's swinging nice and freely. Because I did this the wrong way, I actually want a piece of the spotty paper on this end. So I'm just going to, got another piece here, cut a fresh piece for that. 4.5 by 10 centimetres. All right, now this one, because it's just going to go here, I'm just going to double-sided tape this one. And again, there'll just be that tiny little couple of millimetre border. Around. And it will sit just inside where those little tabs, I don't know if you can see from there, just the little tabs that we've stuck down there. And so that's the pulling to the right versus pulling to the left. It's just 2 different ways, same card, it's just doing it back to front. Don't put your 2 panels opposite directions because they'll fight against each other and you'll never get your card open. Yeah. So that is, I'm going to embellish this off camera because we've done nearly an hour of the actual tutorial. So I'll embellish this and I'll pop a photo up on our Facebook page later today once I've finished. We have had a lady in our neighbourhood, our new neighbourhood, who's just had a new baby and I don't yet know whether it's a boy or a girl. So I've kind of got 2 cards that I can use, to give to her, one or the other, depending on what little gorgeous thing she brought into the world. And then I've got the other one as a backup. So thank you guys once again for joining me for another Crafternoon Box tutorial. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a few of the November Christmas card Crafternoon boxes that are left for sale. So if you're wanting to pick up one of those, jump onto our website at papercraftingaustralia.com. We've also got another tutorial coming for you next week, and that one we will be doing a fringed card front. So with your Crafternoon boxes, you would have had some gorgeous white tissue paper with some metallic gemstones through it. So if you've kept that, fantastic. If you've got any other bits and pieces like that, please keep hold of them. We will be using those in next week's card, along with cardstock and papers that you received in your kit for the month. We also have, and it was due yesterday, but I'm happy to give you today and tomorrow to get an order, and if you like, we've got the Gina K Designs bulk order going in. So this is the last one that we're going to be ordering for 2021, just because of the time it takes to ship and get here, and things are already starting to clog up. So if you're wanting any items for Christmas, if they're in stock on her website at the moment, this includes cardstock, it includes the stencil bundles, it includes the kits. So anything that's currently available in her store, send through a request to us at info@papercraftingaustralia.com. We'll get back to you with Australian pricing. And then if you want to go ahead with the order, you've got until the end of the week to pay for that. And then we'll pop that order in. And as soon as they hit Australian shores, we'll get that out to you. So as a regular retail subscriber to Gina K's store, you can't purchase cardstock. They don't ship it to Australia for individual customers, purely because the cost of the cardstock is, the shipping for the cardstock is horrendous. So when we do it in one big bulk order, it sort of brings the cost down and shares the load a little bit. So if you're after some of that gorgeous cardstock, please get in touch with us. Stamp sets, stencil bundles, ink pads that we don't have the colours of at the moment. We're going to be getting a whole bunch in for the colours for next year for the Crafternoon box. So stay tuned for an announcement on which colours we're going to go for with that. But if you want to start getting your kit ready now, jump in, grab those. Just let us know what you're after and we'll get that for you. So thank you so much once again for joining me. I hope you have a great week ahead. Can't click the right button at the moment. Oh dear, it's time for me to go. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week for the fringed card front. Thanks guys, have a great week. Bye.